Welcome to the folkLOOR podcast, where we talk about entertainment news, tech news, and fumble our way through our favorite things to give to you.
That was your opening?
That was my opening. How was it?
That was your opening? It was pretty good. I kind of want to hear the lyrics for our new.
This is it's a ska-friendly environment.
It's amazing how you can have like a new intro song every single week now.
Every single week.
Like
That's amazing.
Tremendous.
These guys work really hard for us. Our music.
It's amazing when you get to have robots on your team.
I love
Boy,
the robots.
man. You guys started a hot button topic there, I'm sure.
I apologize in advance to all my musician friends.
Oh, you're actually
We've got-
like, I could have done it better.
It's probably true.
It's true. Yeah. Okay. Well, welcome back to another episode of the folkLOOR podcast. I'm Marcus Pittman, the CEO and founder of Lore, and I'm joined with Jason Farley and Sean Tomlin. And man, we have a lot to talk about today, and we're gonna do. Sean has produced this show.
Oh no! Now if it really fails,
It's produced. It is timed and ready to go. Why don't you start out with the top story, Sean?
Oh, I'm the top story guy.
It says we place our bets on TikTok.
Oh, I
Is
like
this
that.
the end of woke entertainment?
You're right. Yeah. Well, that's true, is it? And first of all, I think we've all made a unspoken rule as a group. We try not to say the W word, right? But sometimes we have to. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to.
Sometimes you have to. This is one of those circumstances where we have to say woke. But yeah, I think the big question I was thinking about was, is this the end of woke entertainment? There's a lot of so Netflix just had some news that their subscribers, they just had explosive subscriber growth and their stock is going back up. Obviously, by the looks of the crowd at the inauguration, all of a sudden Silicon Valley and tech are all of a sudden buddy. I couldn't believe I saw Tim Cook in there. That blew me away. So you had Jeff, Tim, Zucky Pants. Who
Sam
else was
Altman.
in there? Altman. And then
the personification of evil.
Dude, I don't like. Can we talk about him for a second? I really do not like that guy.
Yeah, I was reading some tweets on how he embodies all the stereotypes of a sociopath.
Yeah.
and I'm like, I really hope the guy designing the main AI company right now is not an actual sociopath.
I know.
Could you imagine?
I know. It's, whenever you have those podcasts, whether it's Lex Friedman or Tim Ferriss or whatever, and you hear Sam is on there, and I want to hear, because I want to listen to Sam and I want to hear what he's doing, but I can't stand to hear the guy's voice. I can't stand his nerdy Silicon Valley spectrum, that tone. I can't get past it. Sorry to start the show off so negatively, but
oh man, I just feel like we're just in a real bummer vibe.
Yeah,
Sam Altman.
Altman.
Everybody just goes Sam Altman.
Yeah, sorry, Sam. I haven't met you. You're probably. Anyway, so it's the Sam Altman.
You're probably a guy.
Hey, gee whiz, you sure are kind of creepy, but I guess you're probably pretty swell on the inside. That was my Leave It to Beaver voice.
Hey, Zuckerberg went from robot to Gen Z fashion icon, so I think there's still hope for Sam.
Oh, for next week, let's pull that clip where Zuckerberg has that Freudian slip and he says that he's not a human. Have you ever seen that?
That's good.
Well, next week, let's gonna tease. Yeah,
when he says, trying to be like a human,
Wait.
Oil.
Well, Sean, I think like we're seeing the shift from AI with Sam Altman, and we're seeing it sort of it's getting into Hollywood, of course. What like what do you, from your experience working with Fox Sports and Fox Cable and working at that level, what should the industry be concerned, or like where, like we're seeing this young shift to where obviously Gen Z is consuming media in different ways. I would argue they're consuming media in different ways because everybody's kind of just given up on them. but
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
like what would you, where was your shift, like where do you see it, if you were like back at Fox executive now, like where would you be motivating people to?
The interweb.
No, I mean, like,
Well,
how would you be forming your network to respond to what's happening with Trump and the
yeah.
conservative
Well,
agenda?
like, so when I was there with Fuel TV, I mean, I would do exactly what we did back then, and that was put the young people in charge. I mean, I didn't have anyone producing a single show that was over like 25 or 26, and that was unheard of. The average age of our show creators and producers was probably 24, and that made a big difference. And I would just do that the same. That was unheard of. Nowhere in
Yeah,
cable television did you have 23, 24, 25-year olds making the TV. And that was part of our success. And I think that's the same thing now. I think that you're hard pressed to find anybody over 40 or maybe even 30 making really great comedy and good, like, fun stuff. So that's
is
that.
that
I
is
would
that
do the
Saturday
same
Night
thing.
Live's ideal age too? Like that they bring on? Is it
They were
mid
pretty young,
20s?
right? Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah, I
pretty
think
young.
so.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, but the big difference that happened is I think everyone got brainwashed into believing that there wasn't an audience out there anymore that wanted subversive, fun, cool stuff. Everything is just so highly filtered by the big gatekeepers, and so
No,
we had a massive shift, and all of a sudden people realized, like, oh no, most college kids hate what's going on right now, and they've just all
right?
come out in droves, and now they're being supported. You read an article in Variety, right? What was that all about? About what?
Uh, yeah, I read an article in Variety. I can pull it up now. It's where you're jumping off your produced uh timeline.
Oh, am I? Uh, it's just a
No, it's not, it's totally fine. Let's do it.
it's
So
just an
actually
outline.
I haven't pulled up, here. So let me just grab it.
Yeah. So much for my plan.
It's a problem when you give the producer a microphone.
I mean,
This is it right here. So Hollywood is now ready to work with Trump. You didn't hear Biden talking about how to help us. This is a phenomenal article, by the way. That's first off, it's insane that it's written by Variety,
Yeah,
which
that
has
was
never
that
ever
just
been.
surprised me.
Yeah, I think if I could imagine this, if somebody was reading this who was writing it, the tone would be surprised too. Like I think
yeah.
they're like, coming around. But what's really fascinating about this is it talks about how all the opposition really towards the Trump administration is through the unions.
Yeah.
So
There was
so the
another.
unions that are they say the unions are the most liberal uh, branch, but then you have the tech oligarchs, and so it's just there's just, it's really amazing to see. I think there is a shift happening, and I mean obviously Trump just put up this team with, is it Gibson, Stallone, and who's the other? There's another guy.
Yeah, it was
Was it
Gibson's.
Quaid?
It,
No, it was
it might
Gibson,
have.
No.
Stallone.
It's definitely not people
Yeah.
in their 20s. I'll say that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
gonna help. That's gonna help save Hollywood. And then it's referencing COVID and the strikes and how it's basically ruined the industry. and stuff. But really fascinating article. If you got time to read that, I would just go through and read this whole section because there's obviously a shift coming. There's obviously a shift coming when we talk about like what's happening in Hollywood, and for the most part, the people in LA are actually kind of relieved because they want to bring jobs and film industry. They want it in LA. The whole city has been built for the production of movies and TV shows, and that's its main driving economy. And so when you have someone like Gavin Newsom, who's the governor of California, and he's taxing everybody like crazy, making it impossible to live out there. I mean, how do you live in LA and work full time as a grip or just like lower end production job? Yeah, there's sound guy or something like that. It's almost impossible at this point. And they're all the I think what's happening is like all the I don't want anyone that's not top billing is moving to Atlanta and Tennessee right now for a lot of their filming and production. And so
in Dallas,
in Dallas. So I think those are the big three, right? Dallas, Nashville, and Atlanta. They're all moving out there because I've lived in Atlanta. The cost of living in Atlanta, you could live 50 miles away or 50 minutes away or an hour away from the studios in South Atlanta, and it's 50 minutes away. You can still get there a lot faster than living 50 minutes away in LA.
50 minutes away in LA is like a mile and a half.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You're literally like in the country in Atlanta. You have really good pricing on housings and stuff. I lived in Flowery Branch in Buford. It's beautiful out there, and you could just hop on the one interstate, and then you're in Atlanta in about 40 minutes. And then if there's traffic, it takes a little longer, but the traffic isn't LA traffic, so you get through it. So I think it's way more reasonable for people to move out there. I don't think you can bring back Hollywood to like the city without major changes in how California is being governed. So I don't know if there's anything Trump can do to save Hollywood, but he can definitely save the industry, and that might be by creating incentives to get out of LA.
Yeah. The third guy was Jon Voight.
Jon Voight? Oh yeah, Jon. Yeah, so not 25.
No.
Yeah, that's strange. That is strange to me. Everybody they've hired are just older industry guys who, for the most part, I don't say this in a condescending way, but they haven't really done anything major in Hollywood for a long time, and they're on they're on the side closer to retirement than than most. And you would think like, man, aren't there any concern? What?
I think we lost Sean's sound.
Yeah, Sean, your audio is gone again.
Well, while he figures that out, I'll do the next. I'll jump forward on the outline because one of the things that we decided to do was to have a trivia question and see if anybody could get the answer to our trivia question in the chat. So our trivia question is, what was the first Marvel movie? So wondering if there's anyone in the chat, and we'll give you some time to think about it. No Googling, but I guess you can ask Jeeves if or actually you can only search it if you still use AOL. That's the rules. So, but what was the very first actual Marvel movie? So that's one of my favorite trivia questions.
All right. And we'll come back and answer that at the end of the show, right?
Yep, at the end of the show.
Okay. And so, Sean, are you there? Are you back? Oh,
He's not back yet. Should we?
You might have to go default mic.
there.
There we
Okay.
go.
Okay, we're gonna
All
go
right.
default
There we go.
mic.
Okay, that works.
Hey, so wait, there was a thought about the Hollywood thing. So there's a few things going on. First of all, there's a massive crisis of conflict in Hollywood right now. And when I say that, there's the business side of it. The first administration, with the new tax rate that was created, the first administration of Trump, the tax incentive that was created, actually saved Comcast and Disney $6 billion each. Just those two companies saw a $6 billion savings. And so there's a massive incentive. So you have this real tug of war going on from the corporate level of like, wow, we want more of that, because Trump wants to even bring the taxes even down so that savings has the potential to even go bigger than that. So you have that side of it. Then you have the net effect of that is more production and more work, which trickles down to the unions. So you can have this ideological hate for Trump all you want, but the reality is that's a massive sweeping change that injected the industry. So there's that. And then, but the other thing, the thing that's the most messed up in Hollywood right now, and I don't know if anybody who's on this podcast has experienced this, but they've made it so difficult to do production. So Amazon now has a full-time person on set. And so if I'm a production company, I have to hire this full-time person just to monitor. It's like I think it's called like a green patrol person. And they make sure that the cans go in a certain bin and this trash goes in a certain bin. And literally their job on the set, they're getting paid ungodly amount of money to make sure that the trash is organized correctly. And
Man.
And they now have, this is the other thing. So if you're doing an Amazon original, you have to offer a hotline and a website for anyone on staff, on crew, to call if they feel uncomfortable, threatened, outside of their safe space. And so young people, especially in California, are taking advantage of this. So Jason, you just said something that, you looked at me the wrong way, or maybe you just looked at me and you shouldn't have looked at me because you're a white guy with a beard. I can now go and write an email or send a message or a call, and that's it. Production's got to stop. It's got to pause, and everyone's getting a bunch of paperwork, and
you have to have sensitivity training.
So the reason I bring all this up is like, this is the stuff that's really chunking up Hollywood. It's all of this stuff. And obviously, if you go out of state, or even better, out of the country, you don't deal with any of that. So we wonder why there's this huge exodus happening.
I remember watching HBO's Project Greenlight when they were doing this documentary on it's a documentary on people who are making their first big budget Hollywood film, working with the studio systems and that sort of thing. But there's this one scene where I guess the plot of the movie was they were in a frat house or whatever, and so most of the cast was white because it was a frat movie. And then at the house there was a butler, and the butler was black. And so they had this diversity person come on and say, you have to recast this black person because you can't make the only black person in the movie a butler. and I was just watching this. I was like, the poor guy is about to get fired because of his skin color.
Last time I checked, that's racism.
No, that is absolutely racism. They just took that
checked.
guy off the payroll because of his skin color. It was really gross to watch. But they acted like the way it was presented was like, oh, this is Hollywood being diverse and being sensitive. And I was just like, wasn't the butler in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air a black guy? Like, I don't understand. Like, it's not a bad thing for a black guy to be a butler. But yeah, so no, but there's just people on set, and I mean, me and Jason have heard tons of stories of they're like hall monitors.
Yeah.
For these ideas, and you have to pay them a lot of money, and they have to be there. And
Yeah.
And then you have to meet certain standards with the Motion Picture Association to be nominated for an Oscar, that are not about the show or the movie or the story, or the production or the quality. It's just about certain liberal points, that it determines whether or not you qualify for an Oscar. It's like, well, you go, well, why is there this gay person or that gay person and always in a movie, or there's always a trans person in a movie? It's because it's a requirement in order to get any awards or to be on the award season. So
it's tough. So they've made it to a point where it's almost impossible to effectively do production in Los Angeles. And so there's the business side of it, and then there's all this other kind of compliance and red tape that they've added, and they're going to have to. I mean, they're eating their own young at this point.
they really are.
Yeah, it's a mess.
So do you think? But I guess so. Let me ask you: do you think hiring older guys on the verge of retirement,
not good?
You would say not good. Yeah,
well,
I would agree with you.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to also break down. It's all about demographics. So there's certainly still a rich demographic that are going to tune into a Dennis Quaid movie or a Mel Gibson. They certainly don't have the cachet.
They didn't tune into Ronald Reagan.
They didn't. Yeah, I thought the numbers were a little okay on that, but
was it okay? I heard that they might have just broke even if they didn't.
But you can't, you look at it like a Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner is a good example of an older guy that is still garnering a really rich audience, whereas Mel, it's a little bit more questionable. But so from a demo standpoint, they're going to still attract their baby boomers and the tail end of a Gen Xer. But the younger audience, obviously, that's where I'd be putting my focus. And I just think circling it back with what's happening online, and with all the talent across journalism, sports, comedy, scripted, there is a massive wave of young people that not only have talent, but they also understand the sophistication of how do they market their own products and produce. And that's the killer app. That's the secret sauce right there. And they don't need adults necessarily in the room to manage it all. And I think that's awesome.
Right. Yeah. Well, Sean, you have a TikTok Picks is what you're calling it.
Yeah, it doesn't really roll off the tongue yet.
No, it's a terrible name.
I know. I appreciate that underhanded compliment. Sean, read in between the lines what Marcus is telling you. It's not a good title. No, so the idea here, though, is that FolkLOOR TV is going to start curating things that we all found on the interweb. This is one that I really like, but it is, if anyone is a skateboarder, they will know that Mike V is one of the most legendary street skaters that came out of the 80s. It really blew up in the 90s. He is also the man who replaced Henry Rollins as the front man of Black Flag.
Black Flag.
And so he's got this series he's just doing self-produced. He's putting it out for free, and it's called Songs and Stories. And it's a really, the reason I like Mike V and I share it with our audience is this is an example of a guy who's just punk rock at heart. He's defiant, but he's an awesome father. He's an awesome husband. He's as a legitimate lead singer of one of the most legendary punk rock bands. And I went to one of the shows at Pappy and Harriet's, and I thought, oh no, it's going to be one of these deals where it's some old guy that's replaced Henry Rollins, and no one can come up. It was an electrifying show, and the majority of the audience were young people between 15 and 23, and they were there to see Mike V. I had never seen a punk band that replaced a lead singer and actually is bringing out almost a bigger, more passionate following. This video is this little series. He actually tells this great story, whereas when he was 16, he gets a shot at doing a McDonald's commercial, and we'll play this little snippet. And if you got it. Fuck yeah!
think you're a little early for the clip.
Oops.
Yeah.
Another memory I have.
I think
there we go.
It's when I first got sponsored and first got into skateboarding as a sponsored skater. I got this offer to do this McDonald's commercial. I was 16 and I mean, a lot of things were happening for me. I had just gotten sponsored. I was on the cover of Thrasher magazine. I just won a big contest in California. And then I got this offer to do this McDonald's commercial. And my dad drove with me into New York City. We went to this, I don't know, it's like just a giant office building in New York City. And we go inside and there's all these kids. And there's like a cheerleader and a kid with a basketball and a girl with a baton and a kid with a baseball bat. And then I was the skateboarder. I had this jingle going. They're playing this song and they're like action. And all the kids start, the kids start spinning the basketball on his finger and he's kind of dancing in place. And, batons in the air, the cheerleaders jumping. And I'm just standing there holding my skateboard. And they're like, skateboarder, action. Skateboarder, action. Skateboarder, action. And I just picked my board up and I walked out and I walked past all the kids and I walked past the cameras and I walked past my dad. I just walked out the door and I walked out onto the city streets and I walked across the street into this park and I sat down on this bench and I just started crying. And a couple minutes later, my dad comes walking over and he says, what's going on? And I'm like, he's gonna tell me to get back in there. He's gonna tell me how important it is that I collect myself and cut this nonsense out and all this. And he said, what's going on, son? And I said, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. That's not for me. I don't want to do this. And he said, all right, let's get the hell home. Man, it was so cool. It was just so righteous of him.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, it is a beautiful story. It's a great father-son story.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love the stories he tells about his dad. You're like, the reason this guy was able to hold it together through that whole era is because his dad was awesome and right there with him in his life and it's a great little docuseries.
Yeah, and that the name of that documentary is called Songs and Stories. So you can find that on YouTube. It's the production is really nice on that. It's really great. So that's part of what we're going to do is we'll start presenting, I guess, like indie creators and stuff that has content out there, and that way you guys can get familiar and get to know what's up and coming. Although he's not technically up and coming, he's been around a while, but the production of his show is really good, right, Sean? And we lost Sean again.
Lost Sean again. Have no idea.
Sean, you might want to return that microphone, man.
Yeah. I'm gonna, you know what? To all my reps at Sweetwater Sound. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know. It's brand new and who knows? But yeah, the production value on that thing is amazing. He doesn't spend a ton of money on it, but he's got a really amazing DP. One of the things that's cool about that is they record a lot of their performances and studio practice sessions, and they get the audio really good, and that's tough. So many people make videos and they've got a great DP, but getting sound really good is an art into itself. So kudos to Mike. Hey, I was going to skip this other segment we were going to do. I was
going to do that anyway.
Yeah, good. Thank you. I think we should, this is a segment we like to call SNL or IRL. And this is kind of like, where's the blurred line between the absurdity of reality and the absurdity of comedy? I think
yeah, pulling it up.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm really glad that only 5% of firefighters are women.
Right.
But
I mean, there's.
I mean, that is a perfect Saturday Night Live sketch.
It is.
If it was done in a smoky improv room, like it would be. I mean, the guys would be put on SNL immediately. It's a great. I mean, it's sad. It's for life. But also, I don't know if many people notice this because I've seen that clip before. It was the first time I noticed it watching it. The logo in the corner is sponsored by 911, which is Fox's CSI style show about dispatchers or whatever. That was actually sponsored by corporate broadcast television. That ad.
I have a haunting suspicion they didn't get a chance to approve that script.
Right. Yeah. Somebody needs to be carried out of fire. Well, you shouldn't have let your house start on fire in the first place, you moron.
That's exactly right.
I mean, you don't even know where to start with that clip, but and everyone has analyzed it to death. But it's like, okay, well, what were you doing being 180 pounds and finding yourself in a situation where your home's burning down? How dare you? I would get it if she was like, 80 pounds, but she's probably pushing a 220.
Yeah, well, it was a wildfire. Like, there's a lot of reasons your home can burn down that you're not responsible for. A wildfire, natural gas leak.
Right.
It's unbelievable. But that was sponsored by Fox's 911, probably on Thursday night at 9 p.m.
So the answer to that one is it is IRL, not SNL. What about have you guys seen this one's older, but have you seen the one where the news lady up at CBS affiliate in Portland is telling you how wonderful it is to go jogging in the snow because it's a little softer?
I got that. I can pull that up right now.
That's the most Portland news station thing I can imagine. They just don't actually know how
Chelsea
snow
and Michael
works.
were jogging by and we're nice to just stop for a quick second. And I said, what are you doing running? And you're saying it was really good out?
It's the perfect texture for running. Very low impact on its dry snow so your feet don't get wet.
What have you seen while you've been out running?
It's been a lot of fun. There's a lot of other runners and more skiers than runners for sure. I think they've got a little bit of the advantage with the whole stride and glide thing. But it's too nice to not be out here.
Keep on the run. Sorry to have kept you, but I appreciate you guys talking with us.
Stay warm.
All right, thanks. We've seen a lot of people out here, like you said, running, sledding, just enjoying it. One thing, oops, that can happen, unfortunately. Looks like Chelsea's okay. You okay?
By the way, how does she know Chelsea's okay? It looks like Chelsea's okay. Oh, what, you just did an MRI and a CT scan?
You know what? She said it was pretty low impact. She did say the snow makes it pretty low impact. So, yeah. That's the best part of it.
Yeah. I'd love to see one of her high impact segments.
Yeah. So, let's move on to
what's on Jason's mind. He looks like he's thinking about something.
Well, I do have a question for you guys.
Okay, go ahead.
Here's my question. I've been reading Binge Wars about the streaming revolution. Great book. Is super informative, learning a lot about the business side of things. But my question is, what is the first TV show that you ever actually binged, that you just kept watching because the tech finally made it available? Or I guess you could have gotten DVDs or something. But
I know I have two answers, but I think.
Okay.
Does it have to be streaming or could it be pre-streaming?
I had a TiVo. Does that count?
I think TiVo would count.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So in high school, it was for sure. It was 24. Jack Bauer as Kiefer Sutherland, and that show I was just obsessed with. Like literally, like every night that came on. I think that was it's also interesting because it's probably one of the first shows that really led to binge watching. because each episode ended on that cliffhanger in a very dramatic way that most shows did not at the time. And you had to watch it in order, which was a pretty big risk for Fox at the time, because it wasn't like you could just go back and but I think what happened was you had TiVo and 24 kind of just it was at just that perfect moment. And 9/11, very important. 9/11 also very important for the success of 24, and making torturing people on TV plausible. But but so those three things I think all just came together to do it. The first show I actually before Netflix binge watched and bought a DVD of was probably the British version of The Office. Yeah.
Those are good answers.
Yeah.
So, Sean, what do you got?
Okay, so pre-streaming, it would be 6 Feet Under. That's the first one.
DVD? Did you go get DVDs?
No, VHS. These were VHS. So I always, I always had friends that were, in the entertainment business, and I always get the access to stuff, and it was a big deal. You get the VHS, and then in streaming world, I would say I was a little later in the game on that. It was either Bloodline or Ozark. I think it was Bloodline, actually. Bloodline. That show is probably top.
Ozark was pretty late in the game, though, wasn't it?
Ozark's late in the game. It was Bloodline, because it was before Ozark. Bloodline to me is one of the best series ever made. So I know it's not a lot of people would agree with that, but I think
I don't even think I've heard of it. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Really? I've heard of it, but I've never watched it. But I'll throw it on my list.
I wish you would. Yeah.
What's it about?
It's about these siblings. They live down in Florida. They own a little family-owned resort, and there's just all of this tension and drama between adult siblings, and it's actually very much a look at a lot of dysfunctional families in America and the infighting, and there's a whole kind of murder mystery aspect to it. Sissy Spacek's in it, Bill Mendelsohn, the girl from Freaks and Geeks, forget her name, but it's insane.
It's Succession, but at a resort in Florida.
Yeah. It's kind of a Succession vibe, but it's the acting and the writing is so you feel like more like you're watching a documentary versus real sticky writing that's all clever and perfect. It's like it feels like you're fly on the wall in this family. Awesome series.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of, go ahead, Jason.
Well, for me, it was Lost. So it was during when the third season was going. Somebody finally talked me into trying it, and I finished the first 2 seasons before the third season was done, so that and then caught up and watched the third season live. It was the first time I had actually gone and found a TV in years to watch something live when it came out. And the first 2 seasons of Lost were some of the smartest, tightest writing, really great. And then it obviously goes off the rails after that. But
jumps the shark.
Yeah.
24 was 3 years before Lost. So I think Lost is only possible too, I think.
Absolutely. Well, I remember at the time telling my wife, television can't go back from this. It can't go back from Lost. And 24 and that storytelling style, so much more compelling.
They still call that the golden age of television. They're still they still refer to that whole time period for Lost, 24, Sopranos, original HBO series and stuff, because that was like the time where television just started to go, hey, we could be more than just 30-minute sitcoms with laugh tracks. And,
they realized the possibilities of the medium.
So
those are good ones, man. You guys inspired me. I like that question, by the way. That's a great question.
I'd be curious if anybody in the chat had an answer for that. I'll put it up on the screen if something comes up. But let's get to your trivia answer.
All right.
The first Marvel movie.
So, well, there was a serialized TV movie of Captain America in the 40s, but I'm not counting it because it was serialized. Then there was Red Sonja. It was put into some TV shows, but the first full-length cinema version of a Marvel character was Howard the Duck. So there were other Marvels on TV and in different places, but the first character to get a full-length movie was Howard the Duck. Now the MCU doesn't kick off till Blade, but Howard the Duck is the one who
Chris. So Chris got the answer. Sorry.
Yeah, Chris got the answer.
I think there were two people.
One.
Chris got the answer on Twitter, and then somebody got the answer over on YouTube too.
Okay, well,
nice.
Kyle.
Yes, he did, but he came in after Chris, so Kyle.
He did, but before anyone else on YouTube. So
yeah,
right.
That's a great one. I officially would have never guessed that. So just FYI.
Well, Jason, do you have an AI outro song for us?
It is generating as we speak.
All right.
Wow.
Well, why don't we give our plugs before the AI outro song?
Oh yeah, let's do that. Jason, I've been reading a lot of your stuff. I really like it. Why don't you plug it?
Okay, I've got a Substack. It's telling me that I can't put in the name of a band. Just a second. So Marcus, you go first.
80s hair band.
Well, you can follow me on X if you want a bunch of political hot takes at I'm King Ginger, and then of course if you go to imkingginger.substack.com, you can visit my Substack. Which, by the way, I've contacted Substack because I'm trying to get special access to be able to live stream the show to Substack using RTMP features. So hopefully I get that. So go there and subscribe and make my account more important than it is. And then they might give us access to that feature so I can live stream the show there. And then of course I would say follow folkLOOR on X. Follow us on Twitter and subscribe to lore.tv. And then from there, that's my plug. And I think I just want to mention Subclass is almost funded, and also the second episode of Esoterra is almost funded. So go in there, buy some gold loot, and get those shows and those episodes up on the platform. They're very close, so they're not far away at all. So,
all right.
And then Sean, what are you plugging?
Oh yeah, let me think about that. I like music, and I really like Spotify. So if you like music and you have Spotify, I highly encourage you to go to Sean Voyage. That's SHON A lot of playlists there, and it's a wide range of stuff. So say if you like new wave, I've got the best new wave playlist I've seen this side of the Mississippi. Good hip hop, some reggae, and then a lot of early, we'll call it like the 2010s, sort of that Friendly Fires, Bulls era music that when Coachella was great. So if you're a Coachella fan, I'd say check it out. Other than that, I don't really have a social media presence because I'm like 107 years old. And it wouldn't matter. And then for Lore TV, hopefully people are liking the first episode of Thrillbillies. We want to get the second one. So if you feel like fund that. And then I think we talked about Fleur-de-Lis, right? Fleur-de-Lis, the latest.
Yeah, Fleur-de-Lis. That second season is funding right now. And it's like the price of that show is amazing. The fact that he can do it for the little amount of loot that it takes to get an episode up. So I would say go and fund episodes of Fleur-de-Lis. And then also too, if you're enjoying the lore content, feel free to share and talk about it and tell your friends. And remember that you have an invite link. If you're subscribed, you have an invite link. And if you use that invite link, you can get free loot and whatnot. So here's the AI generated song. It's called Tales from the Feed. And let's hear what this is about.
Let's find out.
Can't wait. Is the volume up?
It is.
We can't hear it yet.
It's not. It is up. It just did not play for some reason.
I wonder if the robots are on strike already.
Man, what is going on?
Maybe we exceeded our free limit.
No, it actually it's telling me it's playing now, and it is not.
That's just such a letdown.
So
I mean, there's got to be
while you work on that, I'll tell you that my Substack is Jason Farley's Substack. Very creative name, and I mostly write about philosophy and cosmology and storytelling and poetry and all sorts of things that interest me, and I seem to interest other people because I get other reads and such. So doing the podcast over there on the architecture of reality right now, thinking through all of the different cosmological views from different times. So
wow, that's like I don't know. I feel like you're like Carl Sagan, but way cooler.
Carl Sagan, without the baggage. Let's put that.
Yeah. Well, I like your Substack a lot. And by the way, I wanted to fact check one thing. The book you're reading is Binge Times, not Binge Wars. So
Binge Times, yeah.
So anybody who's interested in the
Binge
whole
Times,
yeah, it's a great book.
I think the other one I read was called Streaming Wars.
Was this our song?
Yeah. I told the 80s hair metal because it wouldn't let me say Van Halen.
That's as loud as it gets. Well,
that one might be we might count that one as a fail. We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah,
it's so ridiculous. I love it. It's like some WB song.
Yeah, I know. I have no idea. We have a pleasantly diverse WB cast, all smiling at one another.
well, guys, that's all we have time for today. And if you guys know of a more professional podcast setup for live streaming,
if you guys know
let me know.
3 more professional hosts, let us know.
Yeah. All right, guys.